Hello, everybody. This is Laura. Hello, everybody. We're going to start probably about another minute because I think it's Raising Cane's, right? Yeah, Raising Cane's brought in some food, and they brought in more than I was expecting. So we're giving them a second to set up, and then if you want, please feel free to go back and grab a sandwich. All right, James, I'm ready. And once again, if you want some food, please come to the back and grab it. You don't need to wait for me to not talk. Okay, it looks like we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to I'm Laura Koval. Welcome to the District 3 Town Hall. I'm going to cover some citywide topics, but I will focus on my district, which is District 3. First, I want to introduce or just let you know that there's staff in the room to answer questions. Heather Jennings with the Finance Department, James Jeffries with the City Clerk's Office, Rita Freeman with Human Resources, Chief Matsushita with Fire, Nick Chavez with Community Services, Sandy Sawa with Planning and Building, Carl Schmidt with Engineering, Pam White with Economic Development, Marlene Best, our City Manager, and Aldo Hernandez with the Sheriff. Is Aldo here? Oh, hi. We have some tables in the back with information and handouts. We also have the Santee Chamber of Commerce here. Thank you, Kristen Dare, for coming to this event tonight. And I personally want to give a special thank you to Vanessa Tang with the marketing department because she was the person that put most of this together and collaborated with me on this program. So thank you, Vanessa. We do have some I think we have one elected official in the audience. I'm here, but Mayor John Minto is here with us. Thank you, Mayor, for showing up tonight. And I also want to thank the guests in the audience and the people watching at home. I apologize that we were a little bit late starting, but we have some food in the back that we're really excited to eat a little bit later. So if you don't know me, again, I'm Laura Koval. I've lived in Santee for over 30 years in the district that I represent. I didn't really have any inkling that I wanted to be involved in politics, really zero. But in 2018, the city of Santee went to districts, and in the district where I live, and a lot of you probably live, there was no representation. At the time, I was the park director at Santee Lakes. It's officially a year since I've retired from that position. And so I ended up running, and here I am. I've lived in San Diego, East County, my whole life. I was born in El Cajon at Grossmont Hospital, moved to Lakeside in the 70s, and graduated from El Cap, went to San Diego State on a track and field scholarship, and I'm 6'2", so I threw shot put and discus. I was not a runner. I worked for the San Diego Padres for 28 years, but prior to that, I was the director of the Santee Boys and Girls Club. So that's an elevator pitch of what I'm about. I think it's time to get started with the presentation, though, because that's why you're all here. So let's go over the meeting agenda first. I'm going to cover fiscal responsibility, public safety, roads and infrastructure, economic and development, and finally, our community. So first off, with economic responsibility or fiscal responsibility, I want to highlight, and I'm glad Heather's here, what we've done at the city with our pension liability reductions. For the last 4 years, we've put $600,000 extra dollars into our liability fund, our pension liability fund, to reduce that liability to the city and to the citizens. And that's resulted in a significant savings for taxpayers. And also, the city of Santee has not only had a balanced budget, I don't know when we haven't had one, but we've actually had budget surpluses. I've been on city council now for 5 years, and every year we've done better than expected. And that's something for the city and the citizens to be really proud of. One thing that I have worked on personally is a reserve policy, and that's something new. So I wanted to, we have a reserve of 20% in our budget, but we don't have a policy about that reserve, so I wanted to talk about that a little bit and what a general reserve fund policy is. So basically, and I took this out of the agenda report, so thank you, Heather, for providing this. This is our reserve fund used by the City Council to address unanticipated extraordinary needs. It's like a savings account. These funds are not available for operating expenses, but it was important to write a formal written policy because it helps provide liquidity when we have in the city, something that's major that we need to pay for and fund. And it's also important for the city's credit rating. Here's a breakdown of how we invest our budget in the city. So and these are the most current numbers, 63% of the city's budget covers public safety expenses, and general government is 15%, community services is 12%, planning and building is 5%, and finally engineering is 5%. Another area that's super important to me is public safety. I'm a big advocate for public safety, but what we're going to cover today is SLEMSA and the Santee Fire Department. SLEMSA stands for Santee Lakeside Emergency Services Authority. That's a lot of words to just basically mean, well, actually, I'll let our chief talk more about that. Talk about the Santee Sheriff, homeless outreach, the river corridor and defensible space, and finally the My Santee app. So the Santee Sheriff does an excellent job in the city of Santee, and we do have some new hires. I did mention Captain Aldo Hernandez, and also we have a new Lieutenant Joseph Jarjura? Close. Sorry about that. Sorry for butchering your name. I will go more into the homeless task force that we have at the city of Santee, because I know the homeless problem is important to everybody here. But I do want to brag about our low crime rates in Santee. The FBI statistics came out recently, and in the state of California, Santee rated 11th as far as low crime rates go. So we're 11th in the state with low crime rates, number 2 in San Diego County, and that's something that the Sheriff's Department, we're really proud of the work you've done keeping crime low in the city of Santee. And this picture, well, one of the pictures on the screen is the Sheriff's Department was selected as one of Santee's favorites, and that's an annual award ceremony that the Chamber puts on, so we're really proud of that. But also, Captain Hernandez is walking with, the Kiwanis hosted the Special Olympics at West Hills High School, and he's carrying the torch with one of the athletes. So now I'll dive in a little bit more into the homeless outreach. Let's see. Okay, so we do have a working group, and how working groups work at the City of Santee is 2 council members can be on it. No more than 2, so we don't violate the Brown Act. At the City of Santee, Councilmember Hall and Mayor Minto are on the homeless outreach working group. But here are some highlights from that group. The city has funded over $680,000 to date, and they collaborate with several agencies. We have a FAQ on our webpage, but I want to talk about the agencies that we collaborate with on our homeless problem in the city, because it's extensive. First, we work with the county, other cities, the Sheriff's Department, Caltrans, Meridian Baptist Church, San Diego River Park Foundation, CASA, the Regional Task Force on Homelessness, Crisis House, PATH, San Diego Habitat Conservancy, East County Transitional Living Center, which I was just there this morning, Grossmont Healthcare District, and Home More Project. All these, I don't know how often you meet, perhaps you maybe once a month, but I do know that they work really hard to address the homeless issues that we have in Santee, and it's not easy. There's state law that prohibit some of the things that we'd like to do, but what they're able to do, we do through those agencies. And then we also do San Diego, we have river cleanups because the San Diego River runs right, through our city. We did hire an open space corridor at the city, open space coordinator with the city of Santee. That's Eric Hayes, and that's a new position to help with addressing issues, specifically in the riverbed. We've received $17 million in grants to address river corridor issues, and MTS does have a pilot program for ticket purchase enforcement on the trolley. And if I could say a little bit about that, I did ask Councilmember Hall for an update. He's our representative on MTS, and he said June 5th, 2024, the Santee Station's cops, deputies, sergeants conducted a trolley enforcement detail in conjunction with MTS officers. Fares were checked as trains pulled into the MTS station. 265 contacts were made. 22 citations were written, 20 field interviews were conducted, and 4 arrests were made. The arrests were for various misdemeanor warrant, various violations, misdemeanor warrant, possession of methamphetamine, drug paraphernalia, and delaying obstructing a peace officer. So once again, thank you to our Sheriff's Department, the COPS team, and the trolley enforcement with MTS for making that a priority with our citizens. Another thing that we focused on, because we do have the San Diego River running through Santee, is defensible space in our river corridor. Since I've been on council, we have declared 3 emergencies, which basically means we could add funds through a different mechanism to fund clearing some of the brush and basically creating places where the fire department can go and actually protect our homes and our businesses along the river bottom. The city council, the city spent over $1 million with those emergency declarations, and we fund ongoing maintenance and cleanup along the river bottom. We have applied for a $7 million FEMA grant to help with that, and we also, May of last year, implemented, one of the first in the state, a river safety ordinance. So what that allowed us to do is to post signs down the river bottom that we don't allow camping and we don't allow combustibles. And we all know that one of the main reasons we have fires down there is because there's illegal camping and combustibles down there. So that's another tool that we have in our toolbox for our fire department and sheriffs. And of all the city council members, I actually live adjacent to the river bottom, so I'm very aware of what a big issue this is. One of these photos is kind of close to my house, so I understand. And so next I would like to let the chief talk about the Santee Fire Department and what they have going on. Thank you for coming tonight.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be sitting next to you and get to speak about our fire department, but also speak about the amazing impact that Councilwoman Koval has had for this community and also for the fire department. My clicker's not working. Oh, there we go. I love starting out with this slide because we come from humble roots, and this was in 1955 when our fire department was essentially founded. We've come a long way since then, but this fire department predated the city.
Gotta hold it. There you
go. Between 1961 and 1964, we grew from 1 station to 2 fire stations. And I don't want to rehash a bunch of information that I've shared very publicly. We still do have 2 fire stations. We still have some major infrastructure needs. But what I do have to compliment our council members on is that they are doing everything they can to move the ball forward. What a lot of people don't know about the fire department is that actually firefighting is a very small percentage of what we do. So those are kind of the really cool pictures of all of the fires and emergency incidents that we respond to, but a vast majority, about 85% plus of what we do are medical related calls. And we're very proud of our medical roots because this picture taken in 1975, these pictures taken in 1975, illustrate how long we have been paramedics in the county of San Diego. We were the very first transporting agency, the very first paramedics in the county of San Diego. And so it's something that's just part of our DNA. And I'm going to get to why that's really important and what Councilmember Koval has been able to do for us. These are just some fun pictures of what our ambulances used to look like in Santee throughout the years. And we sat on a board called CSA 69. I wasn't actually on the board. I was just the subject matter expert that talked about Santee's needs. And Councilwoman Koval was one of the CSA 69 board members. And we talked for years about this need that we had to address our call volume without adding additional capacity. And so this illustrates that our call volume really just has continued to increase year after year. And in 2023, we had approximately 14,621 calls, and this year we're trending towards 15,000. And we've talked a lot about our infrastructure needs, in particularly building new fire stations, wanting to address some issues in the south and issues in our north. And the council has taken action on building a temporary fire station that they just awarded the contract for last week. So I'm a very impatient human being. My son and my wife are sitting in the audience and they'll attest to that. And things don't move as fast as many of us would like. But I will say I've been here a long time and things are actually moving forward. And it's very nice to see that under the leadership of this council, including yourself, Councilwoman Koval, that we are seeing progress being made. But the real progress beyond the response times, sorry, I got out of order on our slides. I've highlighted many times the need to improve our response times, and thus the reason to put that temporary fire station in the southern portion of our city, because it does translate to saving lives. Now, I really want to highlight the impact of Councilwoman Koval as a member of SLEMSA. We took over operational control of the Santee Lakeside Emergency Medical Services, used to be called CSA 69, in early 2023. The first meeting, though, occurred in 2022. But in January of 2023, we actually got to start making decisions on our ambulance services that we operate jointly with Lakeside. We dissolved CSA 69 and brought local control to Santee and Lakeside. And then we made some amazing enhancements over a pretty short period of time. And I'm going to circle back to some of these bullet points because I have them in another slide here. If I can get my clicker to work. So formally established in 2023, our EMS system, since we took over, and so you all know, Councilwoman Koval is actually the chair on the SLMSA board. These are the changes we've made just since last year. Implementing an EMT program, hiring a nurse coordinator to help with our training, hiring a medical director to allow us to have some local oversight and some decision-making for our central zone agencies, including Santee and Lakeside, implementing tiered dispatching, implementing billing changes that has resulted in hundreds of thousands of dollars of additional revenue that we've then put right back into the system, and then a nurse navigator program that's about to start very shortly, starting July 1. So thank you for your leadership, because I saw a lot of years of no changes in EMS particular. And I banged my fist on the table at the CSA 69 meetings literally for years. And once we were able to take over control and let our local electeds make decisions on our behalf, this is what progress looks like in a very short period of time. And I think this is my last slide, right?
I think you might have one more.
Do I have one more? Oh, the hospital building as well. This is a big one as well, which you've heard me about, hospital building.
And then one more after that. Go ahead, push. There you go.
So I want to end on this, is that beyond the positive impact, the tangible impact that you've had for our organization, for us as firefighters, you are an amazingly kind person. And I want to highlight something that came up. We sit on another board. She's a board member, and I'm just there. But it's called the Heartland Communications Facility Administration Authority, actually, HCFA. And I was approached by another fire chief, and he said, I really enjoy Laura, if you don't mind me calling you Laura, I really enjoy Laura's, her demeanor. And do you think that she would be willing to speak at our luncheon as a keynote speaker? So I connected her with who was our president at the time, and she was a keynote speaker invited. This doesn't happen very often. Bunch of fire chiefs in a room. We don't reach out to politicians to be our keynote speakers, just so you know. But reached out to her to be our keynote speaker, and she absolutely killed it. Got so many compliments, people coming up to me, talking about the impact that your kind words had, and also the motivation, talking about customer service. But that's very unique. You're an amazing human being, and I'm proud to get to sit beside you.
Thank you. Well, I'm blushing. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I'm definitely blushing. Thank you for that. Well, it was an honor to speak on that. I spoke from my baseball experience at that meeting, not as a politician. But I did mention that public safety is very important to me. It's been part of my family as well. And when I was elected, I asked the mayor that the first thing I asked to be on was Heartland Communications, which is our 911 dispatchers, and that was in 2019. 2019 was really the first year I served. And then I just remember hearing about CSA 69 and the issues that you all were having. And at the time, Chief Garlow was the fire chief, and he asked, we talked about, like, maybe I could be on this. And then COVID happened, so I was on it, and I immediately elected the chair of CSA 69, and we did every meeting virtually, but somehow we managed to get it done, and here we are today with local control, and you couldn't ask for anything better, and thank you for your leadership. I really appreciate everything you've done leading the department. You've done an amazing job, and you did a great job on that presentation. Okay. All right, so this is something that I know is near and dear to everybody in the city of Santee, our roads and our infrastructure. What I want to highlight are some of the things that we've done on my time on council. So that's from 2018 to 2024. Citywide, we spent over $17 million and $4.4 million in District 3 alone. And that translates into 268 streets that have been resurfaced. 77 of those streets, or 29%, are in District 3. Some of the major streets completed: Prospect Avenue, Mission Gorge Road, Fanita Drive, Cuyamaca Street, and Atlas View. And then also, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, or really if anybody knows this, but I oversaw disabled services at Petco Park, and actually at Qualcomm as well when I worked for the Padres. So making sure that we have accessible pedestrian ramps around the city is very important to me, and that's something that we've been working on at the city. We've allocated almost $300,000 and 261 new pedestrian ramps. Here's a list of all the D3 road improvements, and that's a lot, but I thought it would be interesting to have it all laid out in front of everybody. And maybe we can share this PowerPoint if somebody wants to see if their street is on it. But we're not done. We've got future projects. Citywide, we're allocating this year another $3.9 million for road improvements. And just to give you some perspective, traditionally it's been about $1 million to $1.5 million. So for the last 4 years, if we have extra money in the budget, it's going towards roads. There's going to be 26 streets, and four of those sections are within District 3. So I thought I would highlight some of the District 3 roads that are due to be done in the 2024 fiscal year. Miracle Lane, which is Mission Gorge Road to Arminda Circle. Then Mission Gorge from Carlton Hills Boulevard to Town Center Parkway. Prospect Avenue, we've got Fanita Drive, which I know a lot of people talk about Fanita Drive, to Via de Cristina, and then Atlas View Drive to Cuyamaca Street. Okay. The next topic that I wanted to talk about is our business-friendly atmosphere here in the city of Santee. These are all the businesses that have opened up in 2023, 2024, and we all know it's a tough economy. It's no surprise, but yet people want to come to Santee and do business here. A lot of our revenue, as you saw on an earlier slide, comes from sales tax, so we definitely welcome them. But I think an interesting point is when COVID happened, a lot of businesses had to close or shut down, and there was, all cities experienced revenue loss. We actually did really well as a city, and that's because we have great businesses here, we have a great chamber here, and the whole council cared about keeping businesses open, or if they had to shut down, reopening them as soon as possible. I did want to highlight 3 businesses on this, just because, well, one, I was there this morning having coffee, and that's Coffee and Talk. When I drive through and get coffee, I usually go to Lean Bean. Gigi's the owner there, but Coffee and Talk is also a distributor of coffee, and they have fabulous coffee. So they're off Pathway Street, and they're on Pathway Street off of Prospect. This morning I had the Aloha Latte. The soft opening of Sunny Grove Brewery in the old PIB location happened this weekend. I met Tessa. I think she owns it with her husband. I believe his name is Scott. I know Tessa's an owner, and they're going to be a great addition to the neighborhood. So please go out and go to that brewery. My favorite, they only had 3 beers right now, so it's kind of a soft opening, but they will have a full array of beers. But I had the Portrait Pale Ale, and it was really good. And then finally, I want to mention the market, the Mission Gorge Market, which is down, it's on the west end of Mission Gorge, and it used to be there used to be the car wash and the Subway deli there. Well, the Garmos, Derek Garmo is one of the owners of that market, and they've been in the neighborhood for decades, and it is a beautiful store. They have a convenience store. They're going to have a car wash. They're going to have a quick service restaurant there. I walked inside last weekend, and I don't know why I'm talking about beer a lot, but they have a cooler. They have unique beers. I don't know. Just go in and check it out. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. That says something about me. Okay, and in the pipeline, actually, I saw the sign being installed today for our new Trader Joe's. I know everybody's really excited about that. And, Popeyes is still coming. And I do love chicken, so I'm fine with it. But here's a list of some other things coming into Santee. I think it's important for everybody to know that that car wash that's shut down by the old Mary's Donuts location, that will be a Soapy Joe's. Gosh, sorry about that. All this information is actually on our website, and our new website just launched today. So please go check out the city's website. There is a QR code on the screen that will take you directly there. And Vanessa updated this slide today with, literally, this is a live shot on what you can see on our active projects map. And if you look in the back of the room, that's what the old map used to look like. This is a GIS interactive map. It's just really great. I'm really, super delighted with what the city has done with our new website. It looks fantastic. Okay, so the next topic I want to cover is the Arts and Entertainment District. And maybe some people don't even know what that is, but there's land designated in what I'll call our downtown in Santee for a unique arts and entertainment district, so people aren't going outside of the city for their fun, their restaurants, their nightlife, whatever. We want to keep people in Santee. We have great shops, but we want a thriving downtown. I put this little quote together: creating a thriving downtown experience, pulsating with cultural and recreational opportunities, igniting the spirit of Santee for citizens and visitors alike. There is information on our website about the Arts and Entertainment District. I believe we're still in the EIR, the environmental review process, to make sure that what we want there can happen. But we have hired an architect, and we're seeking community input. The architect is the same architect that designed Liberty Station, so they definitely know what they're doing. And, as a council, we're really excited about the possibilities for a new downtown in Santee. Some of the highlights that will be in the area are a Main Street promenade, which means there's not going to be parking in front of the stores. The parking will be outside, the downtown will be for walking and biking and entertainment. We'll have arts and culture, like I said, nightlife, but also in this area, mixed-use development. And what that means is you could live next to the Arts and Entertainment District, and everything will be walkable for you. But we want to make sure that we keep the Santee character in our downtown. So that's something very important. These photos that I have are of other existing downtowns that I think are interesting. The one on the bottom is a beer garden, and with Karl Strauss coming, I thought it would be cool if we actually have a proper beer garden. Oh my gosh, here I go again. Okay, let's go on to something else. Community center. As I mentioned before, council members sit on subcommittees, and so I am on the community center subcommittee with Councilmember McNellis. And we are going to build a over 12,000 square foot facility next to the YMCA, which will be our community center. The center will have senior and teen programming. We can have community groups, rentable spaces. I have a breakdown of the first floor and second floor, but what was really important to us as a council is that we have a space big enough to hold big weddings. Our Chamber Awards night, we have to go to a casino to have them because we don't have a space big enough in Santee. So here's a rendering from the facility that we are going to build, and it's fully funded. It will be fully funded in your fiscal year, 25-26, with park and lieu fees and facility fees, and the estimated overall cost is $21 million. And that might sound like a lot of money, but it has been value engineered down. Instead of being a 3-phase community center built over decades, it's all going to be built in one phase. And $21 million, if we would have stuck to the original plan, translates into $70 million to build it in 3 phases. So we feel like this was the right way to do it, and it's taking us a little bit longer than we wanted to, but once again, it's going to be beautiful and a great asset to the community. So we're going out to bid soon, and construction should begin the following fiscal year. Okay, sorry about this wonkiness. In District 3, we have, my district, we have more seniors than any other district, which I personally love because I'm a senior as well. So I did want to talk about some of the senior programs the city offers. The senior age is 55 plus, and they have new activities every month. If you go to santeerec.com, you can find information on all of the events. They've partnered with the Santee Library, and a lot of events do take place at City Hall, but they also take outings. And sometimes I just see, they'll walk around Santee Lakes or, take a bus somewhere and go on a trip or go to a lunch. If anybody needs financial assistance, though, with one of these programs, we do have financial assistance. And again, all that information is at santeerec.com. And another thing very important to our city is supporting our military. We've adopted 2 Marine units at the city of Santee, and the city and the citizens have done donation drives and events, so I wanted to highlight a few of those. We've done a trunk or treat event, Thanksgiving lunch for 300 Marines, the Marine Corps Ball, Junior Heavy Haulers Day, and the Heroes Golf Classic. Thank you, Carlton Oaks Country Club, for hosting that. I see somebody here that probably did most of the heavy lifting on that here today. So thank you for that. And these are all fundraising to help our adopted Marine units. Gosh, sorry about this. And I don't know if this is my finally, but it feels like a finally. The city of Santee, I wanted to highlight the efforts of the staff here at the city. They've received several awards over the last fiscal year, an achievement in excellence in financial reporting, so congratulations to that department. The Silver Healthy Workforce designation from Cigna, which is our medical provider. CPRS District 12, which is basically the California Parks and Rec Society, and our district is District 12. We've got the most valuable player, Amanda DiBenedetto. Sorry if I say it wrong, Nick, but she won an award. Ann Morrison, our recreation manager, won the Jedi Award. The Parks Make Life Better Spotlight Award for the facility. Basically the new softball fields that we have downtown, that won an award. And then Becky Lowndes, and I'm sorry if I say that incorrectly, she's our special event supervisor, and she was reinstalled as the CPRS District 12 treasurer. I did attend the Heartland Communications, once again, the 911 operators. They received special recognition at the Fire Safety Awards that were held at, I think it was Knott's Berry Farm or something like that. It was in LA somewhere. It was a drive. And then, of course, Santee is, once again, has been awarded, congratulations, Sam, the Tree City Award. We are officially known as Sant Tree. Okay, this feels like my finally. What do I do at the city, especially now that I've been retired? Of course, I attend city council meetings, but I do serve on a few subcommittees that I wanted to, highlight here. We've talked about the SLMSA. I am chair on that. I am the Sandag Borders Committee East County rep, which means that I advocate for transportation dollars and issues in our region. The mayor is our primary on Sandag board, and I'm his alternate, but together we advocate for money for the 52, and I also advocate for improvements on the 67 because it's a safety corridor issue. I'm the vice chair on Heartland Communications, and then once again, these are the subcommittees that I serve on. The latest was the Fire Station Design Subcommittee, which we came to an agreement pretty quickly on that one. So, and then I'm the alternate on the MTS board, like I said, on the Sandag board to Mayor Minto and the River Park Conservancy. So I do want to thank everybody for coming today. This was my first one of these town halls that I've ever done, and I'll just do one this year. But I hope you learned a little bit about what's going on in the city, what's going on in your district, and I have business cards up here. It has my direct cell phone number if anybody wants to get in contact with me. Of course, we can talk afterwards or here, but right now I'd like to open it up to a Q&A, and we have our city manager, Marlene, has a microphone if anybody has any questions, and you are not pressured to ask a question. I'm not going to make anybody ask a question. You can grab a business card, you can fill out a survey, we can handle it that way, but if you do have some questions, I'm happy to do my best to answer them. All right, I'm not pressuring anybody to ask any questions. Oh, okay, we have a question.
All right, it's more of a fun question. Tell us a fun Padres story. Yeah, I've heard some of them, but I think these people would like to hear some of them too. So nobody's got a city question.
Okay. I do have a good one. So I started working for the Padres in 1983 when I was in high school. And I started out as an usher, and then in 1984, I moved into the ticket office. And if anybody remembers 1984, that was the year we went to the World Series, first time ever. And I thought, is this what it's like to work in baseball? No. But because there was no need to sell tickets during the playoffs in the World Series, they let me be an usher again for the postseason. And my section was Field 37. And I was going to school full-time, competing in track and field, and then going to my Padres games at night. I was exhausted for sure, but I was young. I could handle it. But my favorite story from that was when Steve Garvey hit that famous home run. We were told that if we won the game, we had to jump over the railing and get on the field and stop people from running onto the field. And I had, in my section, you may or may not know this name, but Lyle Alzado was sitting in my section, and he was a Raider football player, and he'd come in his Raiders t-shirt. And of course, if you're a Charger fan, you hate the Raiders, so we would razz each other the whole time. And so I stuck a Padres sticker over his Raiders t-shirt. Anyway, we struck up a friendship. So when Steve Garvey hit that home run and then we won that game, I had to jump over the railing and stop people from jumping onto the field and all that stuff. And he just rushed to the bottom of my aisle, and he said, "Laura, grab him and hand him to me." So people would jump over the railing, and they're just rolling. I would grab him. Once again, I was a shot putter discus thrower, so I was strong. I'd grab him. I'd hoist him up to Lyle, and he'd just hoist him back. And my supervisor walked around, and my aisle was the clearest and the best. He was like, "Good job." So that's one of my fun Padres stories. Thank you. And I have a million of them, so don't get me started on baseball. All right, well, if there's no more questions, I want to thank, there is?
Ma'am,
Yes.
I just wanted to know, does anybody have a question you wrote down on your card? We have a survey card that we passed out where people could write questions. We can collect those and hand those to our councilwoman, so if you're too shy to stand up and, make your statement, we can grab your card and pass it up, and maybe she can answer any of the questions that you might have. One? Okay.
I have a question about, first I want to say a couple things. One is that the Santee app is awesome, and the response from whoever is responding to the Santee app is awesome. So I thank you very much for that. I do have a question about our post office. And I know it's the post office, and it's probably not city responsibility, I guess, there, but I feel like we could help them make it look nicer. I do appreciate that the city did some great work with the street out there, because it used to be interesting turning into the post office with the street and all the potholes there, so that's great, that's taken care of. But who actually could we talk to about making the post office and the landscaping and all that look nicer?
I've actually asked about that before because I share the same concerns, and I believe it's Congressman Issa's office. So that one little stretch of Mission Gorge is controlled by that office, and yeah, I'd be happy to help reach out with that. I agree.
The answer to your question would be the postmaster, because I've asked about that. So you'd want to talk to the supervisor, whether it be the gal or the tall gentleman that's typically there as well.
Great idea. And we could get our code enforcement officer to connect with the postmaster, and then once again, if nothing happens, then we can contact Darrell Issa's office. So, and thank you also for mentioning the My Santee app. One thing that's important to me is making sure that we clean up graffiti as soon as we see it, and that, it's a great reporting tool. So please, if you haven't downloaded the My Santee app, there's a lot of services you can find there. But reporting graffiti around the city, our staff gets on it. It's usually cleaned up within 72 hours, but they need to know about it. So if you're out and about and you see something, please let us know. Okay.
Awesome. So if there's no more questions, and once everything's done, I brought some sample sandwiches from Raising Cane's. We also have some tea and lemonade, so help yourselves. I also have some little pamphlets for more information, because we do a lot of tailgates or some orders and setups as we did here today. So if you guys are hungry, we have some sandwiches for you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing that in. That was such a treat. Thank you. All right, let's eat.